Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Major Scott here from the Major Reviews It on a beautiful day here in South Mississippi. It is just a gorgeous day this spring, April 14th, and in light of this good weather, I wanted to take care of some lawn chores, and specifically I have a couple of small trees that I need to cut down, and I'm going to dig the roots out. So I'm going to be jumping on my John Deere 1025R, my little small tractor with a backhoe, and I'm going to dig out some roots. Now let's talk a little bit about trees and taking them down. I don't like to take down good trees. You know, there are good trees and there are bad trees. There are the nuisance trees like the popcorn, I call them popcorn trees that just make a mess and they're real soft, kind of an invasive series. I don't mind taking those down. Matter of fact, I do take them down. The trees I'm taking down today are pecan trees, and pecan trees are a good tree. I have a lot of pecan trees on my property, and I really hate taking them down, but these particular pecans are the smaller ones. One of them had some infestation, but they're just in a spot where they aren't going to thrive, so I decided to take them down. And what I'm going to do is I've already cut the trees down, but I'm going to show you a little bit of work with the backhoe, and then we'll clean up anything left over with the grapple. So let's talk a little bit about the 1025R, the John Deere 1025R. So my tractor I'm going to be using today is a John Deere 1025R tractor loader backhoe combo with a everything attachments wicked root grapple. Now I believe everything attachments, the company where I bought this grapple, I believe they're no longer in business, or at least on a pause with some issues, which is unfortunate because that grapple has really been a game changer for me, especially with this small tractor. Now the 1025 John Deere 1025R is a 25 horsepower four-wheel drive tractor, and it's small. You'll hear a lot of people kind of discount the impact you can have with this tractor, and it is small, but I tell you what, it'll do just about everything a larger tractor will do. It just takes it a little bit longer to do it, especially with this grapple. Now I'm on a homestead here. I'm not on a farm or anything like that, but I do have about 10 acres. And as you can see behind me, it's pretty wooded. So I do a lot of cutting limbs, moving limbs down to burn pits and things of that nature. So I'm constantly in the woods with this tractor and this backhoe. I've trenched some water and electrical lines. It's not the most efficient way of trenching. A lot of people will tell you can just rent a ditch witch and be done with it, which is probably a good option. But I had it and I went ahead and used it many times. I'm pretty good with this little backhoe. The only dig that I have against this tractor, and the only issues I have, is the lift capacity is a little bit lacking. I think it'll lift about 800 or 900 pounds, which is not a lot, let's face it. But for the tractor this size, it's about right, I guess. Now someday I may buy a little bit bigger tractor, maybe go up to a 2 series John Deere, or maybe look at one of the bad boy tractors. That's kind of my latest infatuation. But again, the John Deere 1025R is an awesome little rig, especially with that backhoe and that grapple. So we're going to get on this tractor here, and we're going to see how she does, and I'll show you how to dig a stump. Now one of the stumps today, it's pretty small little tree. Again, it's a little pecan tree. There was another little smaller tree growing off of it, but you do kind of see the roots that we're going to have to dig up. Now with the John Deere and its limited bucket, what we're going to have to do is start on the outer perimeter with all these roots. You can see some of the root structure here. The easiest way to dig a stump when you don't have that breakout force on that bucket of some of the bigger tractors is you start a little bit further away from the tree and start breaking those roots as you go. Now it does create a little bit bigger footprint, and you do make a little bit more of a mess. But when you're done, you can dig everything up and, you know, grade it over and smooth it out. Now this was a stump I dug up yesterday. I didn't film it, of course. Didn't really get the idea to film it, but this is what it kind of looks like. Now you do see a little bit of these little roots that are left over. Once those dry out a little bit, I can put a strap to them and pull them out, or just take a Sawzall and cut them off. And then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and grate this area here and then plant grass seed, so you'll never know. And again, it'll with the theme I'm looking at, these trees were overshadowed by that bigger tree up there, so they just weren't really thriving. So I'm gonna dig that stump out of that one and then come back here and probably grade all this down and plant grass seed and just smooth it out down here. I'd like to get some grass growing in this area, and that's definitely the goal. Now the pecan trees, again, I hated to cut them down, but they won't go to waste. I'm gonna cut them up into chunks and I'll use them during cooking. Pecan wood, if you don't know, is pretty incredible as far as the cooking. It does good on about everything, especially pork, but people cook steaks with them. And so anyway, we're just gonna get up this mess here with the grapple. And yesterday I cut all 3 of these trees down. They were pretty good size. I'll show you the pile here later, but cut them all down. Took me about 15 minutes, and then I had all this area cleaned and took the debris back to the burn pile. So that grapple really truly does the work of 10 men. All right, so we are done with this stump. We finally got it out. It had a little struggles with that taproot. Now, it's important for people who don't know or never dug a stump out. You have all the lateral roots like these here, the ones that spread out like what you traditionally think of as a root. But these trees also have what's called a taproot, and it's basically a version of the trunk that goes down and stabilizes the tree structure. So the taproot can go down 4 or 5 feet straight down and not out to the sides like the spider legs, you know what I mean? The taproot actually goes down. Big trees like these big pine trees, they can have a taproot, you know, 10, 15, 20 feet down. They don't necessarily have a root structure that sprawls out on the ground like a traditional root. But anyway, the taproot's the hardest to get to, and it was down there toward the bottom. You can see the stump right there, and as it goes down, you see an extension of the trunk, and that's where the taproot was. There's the chunk of a piece of the taproot. You can kind of see some more of it down there. That was quite a bit. I had to kind of tear at it with the teeth of the bucket, and that kind of tore it away, and I was finally able to wrangle this loose. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the grapple, and I'll just pitch down in there and pick that tree root or that tree stump up, and we'll take it to the burn pile. This is where the grapple really is handy. Now I'm gonna have to go through this pile and pull out these pieces of roots here, and we'll throw them over in the pile over there, and we'll clean that up with the grapple later. But it's a pretty big hole. I mean, it looks like a little bomb crater just for that little bitty tree. You know, the bigger trees are going to create a bigger mess, but when you don't have a powerful backhoe, you tend to make a bigger hole. Again, when we're all done, this will all be filled in, and I'll fill it with grass, and I'll pop up any of these other little roots throughout the ground here. There's some in the ground. You can see that one there. I'll take the little root grapple and pop those up and get those out of here. But the John Deere did a good job. It's not a very powerful backhoe, but if you use it right, I mean, right here, that's a pretty big root, and the John Deere popped it, broke it right off at this end here. And again, I'll have to clean these up, and these are wet roots too, so that's even harder to break. But those are good size roots. And again, that little tractor, if you know how to use it right and work it right, it does a really, really good job. All right, so we are done with the extraction of the stump, and I went ahead and got the other pile out of here. You might have seen that on the other video. But a couple takeaways here. For one, this backhoe is a great tool for digging out stumps. It just takes time and you have to know how to use it, so it takes a little bit of practice. I do have a 12-inch bucket, and with an underpowered backhoe, that's really not the backhoe you need for extracting stumps and breaking roots. A smaller, maybe a 4-inch trenching bucket, or a root buster, which is just like it's almost like a sickle that you drag through the ground. You don't have that resistance of that 12-inch bucket trying to pick up everything, and you can use a lot more of the efficiency of the dig force on that John Deere backhoe, that 2060 backhoe. The John Deere performed like a champ. This is 6 years old. I've had it since new. She's got a lot of battle scars on her, but I worked the tar out of this little tractor. And if you're afraid to buy one of these tractors, just evaluate what you want to do. If you're a small hobby farmer, or you have some acreage at a house like mine, see, I have about 10 acres, a lot of wooded areas. This tractor is perfect. The footprint, the small footprint, is just it's made for these woods behind. I've made a bunch of trails and just done a lot of home improvements or homestead improvements with this tractor. So I've worked the crap out of it, but I may be getting a bigger tractor eventually. We'll see if the tractor gods and the wife shine positively on me. But another takeaway, this Grapple, oh my God, this thing, if you're considering getting a Grapple, you can see this one's bent. I mean, I bent it. I don't know if you can tell online, but that top clamshell, the top cover on that Grapple is bent. I bent one of the bottom tines there. You can see that, not the tines, but the actual, I don't know what it is. It's like a separator piece. It is removable, and they were replaceable. However, I don't think this company's in business anymore, but it still works just fine. Again, this tractor doesn't sit in the garage. This tractor actually works. And this isn't some show horse. This is a workhorse. And she's a good one too. This little backhoe, man, you could take this thing off very easily. I could take this backhoe on and off. I have a little dolly for it in the garage. Take it off by myself in about 5 minutes, if that. So great little setup, great little tractor if you're on the fence about buying one. Kubota's good too. And there's little Massey Ferguson. Any of these subcompacts nowadays, they're all good tractors. I do have a belly mower for this. I don't use it very often. It cuts really nice, but it's just, I have a zero turn that's a lot faster because I'm mowing about 7 acres, so I really don't want to, you know. But I will say this does cut better than my Gravely. It's just slower. So anyway, that is going to do it. Tomorrow I'll let these exposed roots, I'll let them dry out. I'll rake this and I'll put some grass seed down, and a couple weeks, you'll never know it. I thought it was a really good job. I did this all by myself. It took me probably, I don't know, probably an hour and a half. But again, if you know what you're doing and you don't expect too much out of your work, and you work your equipment like it's made to be worked, and if you have the right equipment, you're not going to break your back, and you can really do a lot. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Any little bit helps, and it'll help me continue bringing this content that I absolutely love. So I hope your day is as good as mine, and until next time, this is a Major signing off. We'll see you soon.